Hi you guys, my name's Alexis Hartford. I'm a tax expert here at TurboTax. So TurboTax has partnered with Lyft to help drivers like yourself an easy and educational way to prepare their taxes online with TurboTax. So in today's webinar, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to talk to you a little bit about your taxes as a rideshare driver. We're gonna focus in on those tax write-offs, what everybody loves to talk about. In the previous webinar, we talked about how your income is reported for rideshare driving. We talked a little bit about your business, but in this webinar, we're gonna focus on those tax write-offs. I'm gonna do a little in-product demo to show you how easy it is to put your expenses in the product, and then we're gonna go ahead and cut to questions and answers, which I'm sure that you all have. So let's get started. So being self-employed comes with a huge perk, and that is being able to write expenses off of your income. So the way it works is that you get income from the person that you're working for. So that is called your gross income. And then you subtract expenses off of that income, arriving at your net income. And your net income is what you're gonna be actually paying taxes on. It's not the amount that you receive, it's after you subtract all of those deductions. So one huge advantage of using TurboTax is that we offer personalized deductions. So in our previous webinar, I talked about how if you enter in you're a rideshare driver, we personalize the experience for you. And I'm gonna show you in a little bit, but putting in rideshare driver, we're gonna hone in on every single deduction that a rideshare driver can actually take. This goes from anywhere from your vehicle all the way down to your music subscription. So one of the biggest deductions that a Lyft driver has for themselves, or anybody in the rideshare industry, is their vehicle. So writing off your car is a huge tax deduction, and it all starts with your mileage. So it is very, very, very important to keep track of your mileage. The IRS wants you to keep track of your business miles, and they also want you to keep track of your personal miles. So you need to keep track of total miles that you drove throughout the year. Now, Lyft does a great job at tracking how many miles you're riding around while you're available on the app. But what if you work for another rideshare company too, like Amazon Delivery? They're not gonna keep track of that miles. So you are responsible for keeping track of all of your business miles. And that's where the outside apps come into play. So QuickBooks Self-Employed offers a great mileage tracker app, or you can do it the old-fashioned way with a pen and paper. You can keep a notebook in your car and write down all of your miles that you're taking each day for business. An easy way to keep track of your miles throughout the year is to write down your odometer start at the beginning of the year, and then at the end of the year, just take your odometer end. And then that would be your miles for the entire year. So remember, there's two sets of miles that we need to keep track of. One are our business miles, and then the other is the total miles that you drove throughout the year. Okay, so now that we have our mileage in place, what we wanna do is talk about how to write off the car. There's two ways that you can actually write off your car. One is by taking what's called the standard mileage rate, and for 2018, that's 54.5 cents a mile. So you would take 54.5 cents a mile and times that by your business miles, or you could take actual expenses. Now, actual expenses is a little more complicated. Actual expenses requires that you keep track of all of your expenses that you paid for the car. So those are gonna include things like gas, maintenance, any repairs that you had to do, all of your oil changes, if you had to get new tires. So you would want to keep receipts for all of that stuff. So then what you do, and TurboTax actually does do this for you, you enter all of that information in, and then we're going to do a comparison on which one is larger. So for the most part, for rideshare drivers, we go ahead and take the standard mileage because that ends up being better for the rideshare driver, and then you don't have to keep track of all these receipts. Okay, now that we're done talking about our biggest tax deduction, let's talk about some of the other things that you can write off for being a rideshare driver. Let's turn to our tax summary, and I'm gonna show you a couple things here. So once again, on our tax summary, you see your driving totals. This is how many rides you've driven. Here's your online miles. So this is the amount of miles that Lyft tracks while you're actually available for pickup, or if you have somebody in your car and you're driving them around. Remember, if you do more than one rideshare driving job, you're gonna put it on one Schedule C, and you're gonna add those other rideshare miles on top of your Lyft miles. But you wanna make sure you're not double dipping, which is why it's very important for you to be tracking your business and personal miles aside. So if you scroll down to your tax summary, you're gonna pass your gross earnings. This is the amount of money that you received. And then you're gonna come down to some expenses. So Lyft reports a few expenses for you, such as Lyft platform fees, service fees, we've got third-party fees. These are all things that you can write off, but there's a whole bunch of other expenses that Lyft is not recording here for you. So some of the other things that you can write off are cell phone, refreshments for your passengers. Do you buy them water, candy, gum, cell phone chargers, car seat covers, air fresheners, anything that you're buying for your passengers, you can write off. Just make sure that we keep receipts. So you can keep receipts in multiple different ways. You can keep them as a piece of paper in a shoebox. You can keep them electronically. Let's say you buy something off of Amazon, you can have an electronic receipt in your email. And you can also take a picture of your receipts. By using QuickBooks Self-Employed, we will actually store all of your electronic receipts for you, so you don't actually have to keep those paper receipts lying around. You can throw them in the trash. The IRS accepts any form of receipt, paper, electronic, picture, as long as you can substantiate your business expenses. Okay, so now that we've done a little overview of what we can write off as being a rideshare driver, I want to go through the product and give you a little bit of a demonstration on how easy it is to enter your expenses within TurboTax. So the way that you're going to want to enter TurboTax is not through TurboTax.com. If you enter through TurboTax.com, you're not going to get the free discount. You need to go to your driver dashboard, and on the left-hand side where it says Tax Information, just go ahead and click on there, and then you're going to come to 2018 Tax Information, and you're going to see a button that says Get Special Offers. So go ahead and click on that button. So after you click on the Let's Get Started from your Lyft dashboard, you're going to arrive at this screen, and you're going to see two offerings. You're going to see TurboTax Self-Employed. That's the do-it-yourself tax software, which is what I'm going to demo today. This one is offered for free for our Lyft drivers. You're also going to see TurboTax Live Self-Employed. This is another offering where you can pay, and we're offering it for half price for Lyft drivers. You can pay to have a real CPA or EA like myself review your actual tax return and make sure that it's accurate and complete. And you can ask any questions that you may have about your tax return there as well. So for now, we're just going to go ahead into the self-employed free version, because at any point in time, you can go ahead and upgrade to the live version if you feel like you need some additional help. But I'm going to show you how easy it is. So if you already have a TurboTax account, you want to go here and you want to hit sign in, and you want to put in your username and password. This is going to transfer all of your information from last year over to this year. Or if you're new to TurboTax, welcome, and you want to go ahead and say start for free, and then you want to set up an account, creating a username and a password. So when you get into the TurboTax product, we're going to ask you some very simple questions about your personal info. We're going to ask what your name is, what your social security number is, your date of birth, what your occupation is, marital status, and then you're just going to jump right into your income portion. So since you are self-employed, you're going to want to access the topic self-employment income and expenses. Now this is my test account, and I've already shown in a previous webinar how to enter income and set up your business. So from here, we're just going to talk about the write-off aspect of things. So let me hop over to where we talk about write-offs. All right, so one of the great things about TurboTax, as I mentioned before, is that we personalize our experience based on the industry that you work in. So you previously told us that you were a rideshare driver, so we're going to farm through millions of tax returns and figure out what other rideshare drivers like you are actually deducting. So if you forget something, it's okay. We're most likely going to remind you about it here in the product, and I'm going to show you how cool this is. So we've got this section here called Deductions Unique to Your Rideshare Driving Work. This is after you've set up your business and put in your income. So you want to go ahead and select Continue there, and right now what it's doing is it's farming those millions of returns, looking for unique deductions to rideshare driving. All right, so now we've arrived at this screen. It's called What Kind of Expenses Did You Have for Rideshare Driving? Now these are personalized expenses, and we're going to look through here and you're going to see how they're personalized. So our number one most common expense, as I talked about before, is our vehicle. So let's go ahead and select that because we all have a vehicle for rideshare driving. If you scroll down, let's say you were on the Lyft Express Drive program. That's the rental car program for Lyft. You can go ahead and select that if you're on that program. Here we've got communications. We talked about cell phone. We've got supplies. Let's say you pay some type of taxes or license to your city that you live in. You want to go ahead and select that box there. And then here's a big one down here, all these other miscellaneous expenses, the ones I showed you on your Lyft summary down at the bottom, those would go here. So let's check all of the boxes on where you actually have expenses. You can look through these less common expenses too, but for the most part, TurboTax has you covered up here with these common expenses. Now here's your TurboTax dashboard. You can kind of think of it as your Lyft dashboard. This is your dashboard for your rideshare driving info. So your general info is going to go up here. I went through this in the previous webinar, so we won't go through that again today. Additional income, so this is where you enter in your 1099K and your 1099 MISC. And then if you scroll down to the bottom, you're going to see an expense category. So this is where all of the expenses are that we're going to go ahead and enter. So let's start with your vehicle. I'm going to walk you through the vehicle flow and just show you how easy this is. So click on Start. Did you use a car or truck for rideshare driving? Absolutely. And let's get some info. So let's say I drive a Honda Accord. That's a car under 6,000 pounds. And let's say I started driving in 2017. Tell us about the owner. Are you the owner? Do you lease it? Maybe it's your parents' car, so the vehicle isn't yours. Was the car available for personal use? Most likely, yes. Did you have another vehicle available for personal use? Depends on if you had another car. In my example, we only had one vehicle. Now, did you keep track of the miles you drove for your rideshare driving work in this Honda Accord? As I mentioned earlier, miles are the base of the rideshare expenses. It's your biggest tax deduction. You have to keep track of your miles. So depending on whether you're using a mileage log, maybe you're using the QuickBooks Self-Employed app, you're going to say, yes, I tracked my miles for my vehicle. And then this is where we enter in our mileage. So previously I was talking about how you needed to track your miles for the entire year. This includes business and personal. And then it wants to know what your business miles are. So let's go ahead and say that I drove about 25,000 miles for business and personal. And then my business miles only, let's say we're about 6,000. Continue on. It's going to ask you a couple more wrap-up questions about your car. And then we're going to get to a screen that asks if you took the standard mileage deduction last year. This is a pretty important question. So if you transferred in your return from last year, we're already going to have that information. If you didn't use TurboTax last year, you can go ahead and click on this link right here, where can I find this info? And it's going to tell you here on the right-hand side exactly where to find the info on your last year's tax return. So let's say that I took the standard mileage last year. So this screen right here is telling us what standard mileage deduction we actually get from putting in our business miles. So remember, it's 54.5 cents a mile for 2018. So at this point in time, you do have a choice, and it's what we had talked about earlier. It's, do you want to take the standard mileage deduction, or do you want to go ahead and put in your actual expenses? And your actual expenses, like I said previously, are things like auto repair, gas, tire, oil changes, anything that you did for the maintenance and upkeep of your car. So if you're confident with the standard mileage deduction, go ahead and select Continue. And then we'll ask you a few more wrap-up questions on your car. Everybody pays DMV fees, right? So you can subtract the personal property portion of those. You can find that on your DMV form. And there we go. We've got a vehicle deduction. Okay. If you used another car for your rideshare driving work, you can also add that in here as well. All right, so now we're back at our rideshare dashboard in TurboTax. And if you scroll down, you'll see that our vehicle section is complete. Now, we can go into each of these other sections, like communications. Let's go look at that. This is where we would put our cell phone bill for our business use portion only. So let's say I spent $1,200 last year on my cell phone. So I would put in the business use portion there and go ahead and hit Continue. All of those expenses that I showed you on your 2018 Lyft tax summary are going to go down here in other miscellaneous expenses. And here's some examples here for you. So you can see Lyft commissions here. You'd also put music subscriptions here as well. Okay, so now we're back out here to our rideshare dashboard. And as you can see, you can just keep going into every expense category down here that you previously told us that you had. If you do forget something, you can always go over here to add expenses for this work, and you can scroll down and you can see most of the expenses here. But TurboTax definitely has you covered, and all of the common expenses that we're showing you here are for the rideshare driving industry. Okay, so if you scroll down on your dashboard after you're done doing all of your expenses, you can go ahead and hit done at the bottom. And then you'll answer a few follow-up questions, and that's it. It's extremely simple to use. If you ever need any help, you can just go up here to the help panel and type in any question that you may have here. Or TurboTax Live is always available up here as well for live tax advice, half off. Okay, so now that we're done entering in all of our rideshare expenses, we're gonna go ahead and take a break. I'm gonna sign out. TurboTax is gonna save all of the information for you so that when you log back in, it's just right there from whatever device you log back in from. And we're gonna go ahead and take some questions and answers from you guys. So I'm gonna turn it over to Molly to answer questions that you guys have from online.
Here's one about car expenses. I had a significant repair this year. Can I take that if I claim standard mileage?
So can I take a significant car repair if I claim standard mileage? Earlier in the segment, I talked about the difference between standard mileage and actual expenses. So the standard mileage rate for 2018 is 54.5 cents per mile. So what happens is you take your business miles and you times that by 54.5 cents per mile. Then over here, you add up all of your actual expenses you had for your car. So that would be your oil changes, your car repairs, your tires, your gas, and then what you want to do is you want to take a little comparison. Which one is actually higher? So if you are taking the standard mileage in tax year 2018, that means that you cannot take any of the maintenance on your car for 2018 since you're doing the standard mileage. There's no double dipping allowed here.
Luckily, in product, we have an estimator tool that will predict which option is better for you without you having to tally up all your receipts.
That is true.
Okay. What kind of expenses can I take on my rental car? Can I write off my mileage with that?
Rental car. So for Lyft drivers, you have something called the Lyft. Molly, do you know what the question? You know
Express Drive.
Lyft Express Drive. That's right. Lyft Express Drive. So let's say you don't own your car. Lyft has a program where you can actually rent a car from them. Now, being in the business of rideshare driving, one of your biggest expenses is your car. Well, since you don't own your car, you're renting your car, what can you write off? You can write off your rental fees, but you can only write off the business portion of your rental fees. So let me go ahead in product here and show you exactly where we would be writing off our rental fees. So earlier in the program, I showed you a table here on what kind of expenses did you have for rideshare driving. If you scroll down a little bit, you're gonna go ahead and skip over the vehicle one because this is actually if you own your own vehicle or you lease it. You're gonna wanna scroll down here to car and equipment rental. So go ahead and select that guy. And let's just go into that topic and see what it looks like. So if you scroll down to car and equipment rental, okay, so Lyft Express Drive, you can go ahead and put the business portion of your rental expense down here in this section, and then you can also add the business portion of the gas that you paid while you were using the rental car driving. So you don't want to enter it into the normal vehicle section. You want to go down here into this special car and equipment rental expenses section to enter your rental vehicle expenses.
Perfect. And a way to do that would be based on your business miles versus your personal miles to calculate that.
That's how you figure out the business use portion of what you can write off.
Perfect. I have a music subscription for Spotify. Can I deduct that?
Great. So Spotify, sure, you can deduct that. Are you buying it for the convenience of your passengers in your car? Write off your Spotify music subscription, write off your Pandora music subscription. Any music subscription that you have for your rideshare drivers, you can definitely write off. You're gonna go ahead and find that in the expenses area. Down here, right under other miscellaneous expenses, you're gonna see something that says music subscription. So just type in what music subscription that you have and go ahead and put that dollar amount in there. Make sure you save your receipt.
Next up, are all my miles on the dashboard the total that I can take?
That's definitely gonna depend, Molly. So it depends on how many rideshare jobs you actually have. So if you're driving for Lyft and you're driving for Amazon delivery, no, Lyft is only going to report the amount of miles that you drove for them. Lyft reports the amount of miles that you had a passenger in your car and the amount of miles that you were actually available for a pickup. So if you did have another rideshare option or another rideshare job, what you need to do is take your Lyft miles, your on and off trip miles as we like to call them, and add in your other rideshare miles on top of that. Now, you want to make real sure you don't overlap miles here because there is an easy tendency to do that. That's why it's really good to get an app, like an outside app. QuickBooks Self-Employed has a great one to where it tracks all of your miles independently of any rideshare job that you have.
All right, looks like we only have time for one more in this webinar. Okay. What if I buy clothes to look more professional? Can I expense those?
Can you wear them out on the street is the typical answer that comes in from the IRS. So no, you can't write off any clothing that you can typically wear out on the street. Clothing in itself is not deductible. There are certain exceptions, of course, that go along with the deductibility of clothing. If you need a clown suit, if you're a circus performer.
Or your employer requires it.
If your employer requires it. But just for normal rideshare driving, if you want to look a little more professional, no, those clothing unfortunately aren't deductible. All right. Okay, guys, it sounds like we're out of time for today. I just want to thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for watching.